Hello, my name is Jonathan Grady. I'm an IT manager, and this is going to be a very quick video on how to set up an Active Directory sort of lab. What we're going to do is have two virtual machines set up. I already have them set up here, so we have our Windows Server 2022, and we also have a Windows 10 machine. What we're going to do is we're going to create our own Active Directory forest on this new machine, and then from there we're going to create a logins within Active Directory and enable this Windows 10 machine to connect to it. Now, why would you want to do it? Well, if you're starting off in IT or want to learn things about IT, Active Directory is one of the biggest things out there to control user logins and things like that. There are obviously cloud services now like Entra ID and there's some others, but Active Directory is still one of the most popular ways of authenticating users onto your network. So by creating your own domain on your own home lab, you can spin them up, you can mess with group policies, you can mess with all the fun things that come with that Active Directory. Like you can push shared files out, but only certain people can see them, that kind of thing, as you would do in a corporate environment. And you can build up your own corporate network. Just with a couple of virtual machines, you could spin up another Windows 10 machine, and you have two separate users, so you can have Sally from accounts or John from sales. So, you can assign different user roles and rights, and you can play about with that as you go. So, all I've done here is literally created two fresh Windows 10 machines. VMs here, Windows 10 machine and Server 2012. 2022. What I do need to do is just that this the server machine requires a static IP. So what we are on 140. Here I am. So what I'm going to do is just very quickly just set the static IP for this. So this is important for DNS and DHCP, just so all the requests are going through the one place, and that one place is never going to change. So I'm sure if you're watching this, you understand, about DNS and that kind of thing. So 192.168.30, and we are on 140. Was that right? Yep. 140. That's fine. Default gateway is 30.2. Yep. So I'll say 30.2. And these for now, I like to use Cloudflare. I know some people like to use Google, but I like Cloudflare. Okay, so now with the static IP changed, we'll just do this, make sure that is fine. Okay, cool. Okay, so what we need to do is jump to our server manager here, and we can assign roles and features. So you can do this. This will allow you to install whatever features you want. So you want a file and print server, do you want media servers, anything like that. I probably got that wrong. It's been a while since I've done this, but it's really simple to do. Okay, so as we're going through the steps here, we want to select the server, which is the Death Star. And from here, we want to do Active Directory Domain Services, which requires all these. So yeah, we're going to add all that. And we also want to do a DNS. That's fine. We don't want to do DHCP. It's just DHCP is coming from our virtual network, so that's fine for the time being. Don't need RDP or anything like that. Okay, so next for features, just to make sure we do have group policy management on there as well, because that's again required for Active Directory. And yep, just happy with all that. I'm just going to let this cook. So depending on your machine and its specs and everything else, depending on how long this is going to take, hopefully it's not going to take that too long. May require a quick reboot. Okay, what we'll do is we'll come back once it's properly finished installing. Okay, we're back. That really didn't take too long to install, but you just would have heard me just jabbering on. Okay, so now we have this installed. We can close this. And up in here we can see we've got some actions that we need to complete. So we need to do a couple of things. We need to assign our domain name as what we're going to call our domain, and then we also need to, well, as part of that, we'll promote this server. So to the network, even though it's only on 2 machines at the moment, it'll promote it out as being, like, you can trust me for, authentication. Okay, so you want to add a new forest. Since I've randomly called the server the Death Star, we're going to call this the Empire. Verification Empire. Okay, yep. So I forgot this. So for the domain, you need an extension. So for this case, I'm going to put .local. For if you have your own domain, you can put like .com, .whatever there, and then later on you can actually link those together. That helps for things like send up your emails and stuff like that. But for this, I'm just going to call it .local for now, just because it's local. It's only on these machines. It's really only for this quick video. As far as functional level, now if you're creating a new Active Directory server within an existing forest, within an existing domain, you may have servers which are running on a lower forest. So these say 2016, but this is a 2022 server. So what we can do is, I know that's the highest it goes, okay, but it goes by what I was saying. If you're upgrading from say 2008 Active Directory servers or 2012, don't know why it should be at this point in time, but if you were, you'd set the highest functional level. Sorry, you'd set the functional level of this new server to the same as your current server. So even though the server is much newer, in order for everything to work correctly, you have to downgrade it. Now, once that server is up and running and you're happy with it, and you're decommissioning your old domain controllers, what you can then do then is come back in and then raise that functional level. Now, raising that functional level gives you obviously new features and things which weren't available in the previous ones, but due to obviously some changes in some the way that things are built, you have to make sure that that's set correctly when you're deploying a server in the wild. But in this instance, we've only got one server, one client, even though it's server 2022, the highest functional level we can run is 2016, so that's what we're going to run out. So we need to set this password. This is in case we need to come back in and recover these services later on. You don't really need, well, it's handy to remember it, but you can just throw something in initially if you want, because you can always change it through PowerShell if need be. But I'm just going to throw something in just short and easy to remember. Okay, television created. Sorry, it has been a while, as I say. Dedication service. Okay, that'll be fine. Okay, that's also good. A lot of this will probably just accept the defaults as we're going through, so things like this, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, happy with all that. This obviously just some of the checks it has to do just to make sure that everything is okay. Default security names. Yeah, okay, we're happy with that for now. Yeah, these are the same errors that we've just been getting. Same errors again. Again, depends on your computer specs and what specs you've set the server to have. These are minimal, I think. I think you're going to get like a couple of gigs of RAM and stuff like that. So obviously the higher spec VM you have, it works Okay, so computer starters. Okay, that's fine. So this is good. So we have our Active Directory services and everything installed. There we go, just restarting. So once it's restarted and when we're going to log back in again, it's going to ask us to log in as the administrator for the domain. And then this will be via Active Directory. So hopefully this shouldn't take too long to kick back in. Again, this Windows 10 machine has just been sat here. We haven't done anything with this yet. We will do in a second. Once we can log into the server, we'll add this one to the domain. In fact, while that's thinking, we'll do that. We'll get this ready. So what we need to do is open the File Explorer, right-click on this PC. We're going to Properties. If you want to rename the PC, actually no, it's not. Rename PC Advanced, because then we can come to here and change the domain, which will be empire.local. We can change the machine if you want. We'll just call it Vader. Okay, so this is just taking slightly longer on this boot, just because we've installed these new features and they all need to spin up and just make sure they're working. And certainly with the initial configuration that has to do. Okay, so we're all okay here. Okay, once we're back, once the server's ready, we'll come back and we'll do the next steps. Okay, we are back, so we can then log in. So here we are. So we're now logging into the Empire. So this shows that this works. We're not logging on to our local account anymore. We are logging in as the domain administrator for the Empire. Cool. Okay, so okay, that's all good. So what we need to do now, we've got a little bit of an error down here. One thing we do need to do is we just need to pop in here. We can change this to 40 since we chose DNS on here. 127.0.0.1, that's obviously it's just a local address. Okay, so we can just check, just make sure that we are connected. Yeah, okay, so we're all connected to the internet even though we've got the other things on there. Okay, so that's obviously there's much more you can do with that. But what we're going to do is we're going to come back here. We're going to add the computer Vader to the Empire. So, okay, let's do this. So it's going to ask out. So it's going to be broadcasting saying, oh, can I see this? It might have to change the DNS settings on here as well. Maybe I shouldn't have done the DNS. Oh no, it's set to automatic. So 138. Let's set this to manual one, shall we? So 1 and 2. Let's say it's I think that was 138. So 40. need an alternate? No. Because someone else is protection. 102. If I do something Blair in the obvious, 102 wants to say 30, 138. 2 wants to say 13.2. Yeah, so probably missing something completely obvious here. DNS name doesn't exist. Yeah, so that's because. Oh, come on. Yeah, so. Let's try again. Ah, there we go. Okay. Probably shouldn't have set the DNS, but it's for this example, probably not. But in reality, it's good to have DNS because that way you've got any internal services, anything you want to run, you can manually set the DNS later on, so you don't have to keep going to IP addresses or weird things. You can just say go to, I don't know, Jedi. That'll take you to the Jedi server or service. Okay, so we need the Empire administrator. So what this is going to do is going to register the computer to the domain. Cool. Okay, so this is a quick reboot. Now, there is one thing, because this computer is registered to the domain doesn't mean that we can log on. That's because we haven't created a user. So we don't have any users at all other than our domain admin at the moment. So we want to open up our Active Directory users and computers. So here we have the Empire. Within computers, we can see we have Vader, which is all good. In users, these are all sort of standard users. But what you can do, we'll add a new OU. This is just to keep things tidy, you know, if you like. So there's all these users in here, but to keep things so I know where things are, you know, what I tend to do as well is within here I'll create other organizations, you know, like sales, so all the sales users go in there and that kind of thing. But what we're going to do for this user, we are going to just rename this to Sith, and we are going to create a new user. So depending on how you want your users to sort of log on, some people just put like Darth or whatever, but I in a corporate environment I tend to do first name dot surname. You can run into issues where you've got like two John Smiths and you can't have two John dot Smiths, but that's a how you wish to deal with that is entirely up to you. Some people put numbers at the end of it. Some people put the middle initial in there somewhere. But for this, we're just going to call it Darth.Vader. So, yep, this is all good. Password. Just put this in. We don't want them to change the password. They can't change it. And just for this argument, password never expires. So you would change these depending on what your policy is. So depending on what your corporate policy is for passwords and things like that. Obviously, you need to align that, with whatever you wish to do. For this instance, it doesn't really matter that much. Okay, so now the machine has rebooted. This is just a local user, but we're not doing that anymore. We are going to be logging on to the Empire, as we can see. It wants to sign on. If you wanted to sign back onto the local machine, you just put a backslash, and that'll say you want to log onto the machine rather than to the domain. So if you want to log in as a local admin again, you can easily do that. So we're going to log in as Darth.Vader, and we're going to log into the Empire. So this is create my profile for the first time. So what we've done, minus installation of the operating systems, we've installed Active Directory services, DNS services onto our fresh new server. We've also set that IP address, and we've also created our user as well and our forest. And what we've been able to do with that is add a machine to that forest. So as you're, enrolling new users, they will see something like this. So when they log into the machine for the first time, it's going to create their profile, but it's authenticating to Active Directory. And of course, from there, so we can see this is Darth Vader. He's logged in. What we can also do, for example, so we can come into Active Directory. We will create a new user. Well, the Sith names have gone out my head. I don't know. I was using Star Wars references. I thought, oh, nice being easy, but no. We'll do this. Set again. We'll leave this on this time, so we show that we are logging into a different user. Okay, so we come back to our Windows 10 machine. What we can do from there is we will sign out of our Darth Vader account, as we can see. Okay, so we'll log on as another user. So we will do that now. So because we had that option to request that the user change their password when they first log in, we're going to get prompted to do that. So it's speaking to our Active Directory server. It's going, oh, hang on a minute, there's something flagged. We need to change the password. So we will do that here. Yep, because I can't type. We'll try again. There we go. So the user password has been changed, and then it's just going to take us into log on, and then we're going to see the hi, and it's going to create our profile for Darth Talon. If we wanted to, or say if your user was locked out, so someone's tried using their password too many times and it gets locked out. Again, this depends on what restrictions or the policies you have in place for that kind of thing. Some people, allow people to try the username passwords for quite a long time. Others say only 5 times before you get locked out. Depends on how strict you want to be and how confident you are in users typing their passwords. I just saw that took me a couple of attempts to get signed in there. So what we'll do here is we will sign out the user. So I, off the top of my head, don't know what the sign outs are. but we'll just try a few times and just see if we can quickly do it. So Windows does this from time to time. Even though it knows it's incorrect, it's going to have a think about it to lure you into the false sense of security, thinking that you are logging in, but you're not. So this will obviously fail. So we can check on the user here. So if we do a right click in properties and go to accounts, so the account isn't locked at the moment. It's going to do that again. Okay. So if the account was locked, all you would do is you would come back into here and you could just unlock the account. So apply that, the account becomes unlocked. We can also change the password from here as well. So you can, if they've forgotten their password or you need to create them a temporary one, you can reset the password and say that they have to change it when they go back in again. So you can put a very simple password in for their initial login again, which you can tell them over the phone, because as soon as they log in, they'll have to change their password. But for this instance, I'm not. I'm just going to put it back to what it was originally. And again, the user's account's unlocked, so that's fine. So we'll do this, and then we'll come back in here, and then we will put in the now correct password. And that will let us log back into the account. That's a little bit of administrating users as well. So yeah, so that's a very quick run through of how to set up and configure an Active Directory server in your home lab, as well as users as well. So I'd say from here, you can mess about adding more computers if you wish, adding more users, set different permissions, set different group policies. You can do all that kind of thing. You can assign specific security groups. So you can have sales security groups or IT security groups, where obviously IT is going to have more control over the network than sales would do. But yeah, I say that's the beginning of it. There's lots of tutorials online there of all the stuff you can do, but I do encourage, because it's in your home lab, just go in, pull up the Active Directory users and computers, and just have a look around, see what you can do, see what other things you can add, and also have a group policy. Group policy is a good one. Again, this is where you would set some of the policies and things like that, like how many times can you put your password in before it times out, and this doing this also helps with security posture as well, because if you're assigning the right group policies and the right restrictions, you're not hindering your users so they can get on and do the work. They're not going to be bothered by pop-ups or anything like that. But you're also strengthening the network in the background, which is super important these days. But yeah, so that was just a really quick run through, and yeah, just a quick video of how to set this up. Okay, any questions, let me know. But yeah, I might do more things like this if you find it useful. But yeah, anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.